Welcome.
The joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 334 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. Going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. I think it's going to be a great time. I'm so eager to get into it. Let's just do it. So let me start by sharing my screen. This is today's agenda. It's August 2nd, 2023, episode 334. And a reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think, I know how it will go, but it might not go that way. I might get blocked, sidelined, rat-holed. We might be stuck on one thing for the entire time, and that's okay. And, I'm not pulling, lines of code here from my from a piece of paper to my left. I'm like doing real software development from the top of my head, and that might mean that we do some trial and error, and that's all right. And we're just going to figure stuff out together. What I like to say is I'm capturing software development in the raw, at least the way I do it. Who knows? Maybe other people are able to do, like, they just write pristine code, as like every character that they type out is like perfect. That's not me. It's going to be a trial and error kind of vibe today, and that's okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at is something that you have access to depending on where you are. It will be in a different place. So if you're watching this on YouTube or diode.zone, a link to the agenda will be in the video description down below. If you're watching this on Twitch, it'll be down in the channel details. And if you're watching this on Air Mozilla, it's in the details section over there. And as I update the agenda, if I add stuff here, it will, you'll see this little spinny guy go, and then it should update. If you just refresh the agenda, you'll see the up-to-date agenda. Let's get right into it. Well, the first thing I want to mention is, we did a release of Firefox. I think 1.16 just went out the door earlier, yesterday, really. There's the volume slider in the picture-in-picture player window went out in 1.16. Some performance improvements went out in 1.16. One thing that's coming up that I thought I'd mention, we kind of talked, I don't know if it's been published yet, the blog post. Blog.nightly.mozilla.org. But I know this is something that's being tested. No, it hasn't been published yet, the next blog post. But so consider this a sneak peek. So do you remember Firefox View? Firefox View, if you're not familiar with it, was a feature that got shipped, I think, late last year. Yeah, it was late last year. And it was a starting point for making it easier for you to get back to where you had been in the past. That's this button up here. Normally, I'm using Nightly. That's why it's got the Nightly logo. But if you're using Firefox or Developer Edition, you'll see the browser logo in the top left. And when you click on it, you'll see recently closed tabs and maybe tabs on different devices. I don't know. I don't know where these came from. I guess I've got my device synced to. Yeah, I guess I must have synced, because I've got my test account here. This is bizarre. I didn't realize I had a mobile account associated with with my testing account, but so be it. Anyways, this is Firefox View, and it's a good start, but there's more. The agenda link on YouTube doesn't work. 404. Hold on. Is it? Let me see here. Firefox View next. Syncing. Joy of Coding. Agendas. Episode 334. Ugh, that's ugly, but it's there. And then you're saying that the agenda link on YouTube is broken. Episode agenda 334. And on YouTube, let's go to the actual YouTube. Oh, the sync made it work. I guess it just hadn't synced. And also the formatting looks wildly bad. Look at this. Wow, why is that so bad? Let's see if we can fix that. Is it because sometimes if I don't put a space there, yeah, that's what it needed. Okay, well, it's a little bit better. There, agenda fixed. Where was I? Oh, Firefox View. So if you go, this is a sneak peek. If you go to About Config and you go to Firefox dash View in here, and you can turn on something called Firefox View Next. browser tabs, Firefox View Next. You flip that to true. Then I don't know if you need to reload the page, or reload the browser, but just in case, I'm going to reload the browser. You get a more fleshed out version of Firefox View that includes recent browsing, open tabs in current windows, and if you have multiple windows open, it will list all of the open tabs in the different windows, so across different windows. Recently closed tabs across all windows, tabs from other devices, and then just general browser history. And you can start pulling stuff like that out, and you can sort by site. And this is just the beginning. I can imagine at some point there'll be a way to search the list and filter and whatnot. But this is coming. This is something we're testing right now. And if you're also, abstract code is not color. Oh, you're talking about the agenda. Yes, the abstract code is not colored. Syntax highlighted. My bad. Anyways, if that at all interests you, you should check it out. You can flip browser, tabs, Firefox View Next, and then this may become more interesting for you. If you've used Firefox View in the past and you're like, I wish it did more things, this might be up your alley. So there you go. That's a thing that we're probably going to turn on soon by default in Nightly, I would guess, once we've had enough people testing it. And then, but I'm giving you a sneak peek. Okay. And I also think that there's a place for you to file bugs if you find any. Let me see if I can find where you can file bugs. Just one sec. Because I think we wrote it down somewhere. Hang on, I gotta load this big old document. Okay. Firefox View Next. It's still a work in progress. It's undergoing QA testing. That's why it hasn't been turned on by default yet. And do they have any suggestions on? Let me see if I can find. Here's one of the meta bugs. Milestone 2 UI work. That's this bug. And then what is that block? Yeah, this might be where a meta bug that you could file defects and bugs against. Bug 1827393. So I'm going to put that in here. Meta bug for this work. So you can check that out. All right. So anyway, that's enough. I'm a big fan of the work that's going on. Isn't this a history menu moved to a tab? Kind of. I mean, the history menu historically has not been well exposed. I mean, it's also it performs more functions. This is like a short list of the things that you've recently been to. Whoops. And this is, I think, a little more comprehensive. You can do more sorting and searching. And the idea is eventually you'll be able to do more sorting and searching from here, I believe. You know, and then there are individual controls for each of these that I don't think you get from the history menu. Like, I don't know if you can... Oh, you can forget about this site. That's interesting. I didn't know about that. But the idea, I think, over time is that this will become much more powerful as a way of managing and searching through your history. And even if it's not, then there's the show all history, which will take you to the library for now. And this is really sort of your command and control center for history. So anyways, if you go to browser.tabs.firefox view next and flip that to true, that might be useful for you. Okay, moving on. Last week we were working on that G-test. And we'd kind of gotten stuck. We'd gotten stuck. And I couldn't let it go. Like, that episode ended up going long because I was so frustrated. Hang on, where am I? What did I paste here? No. Let's get rid of those. I don't know why those are pasted there. I must have been using these things as like a temporary clipboard. And I'm not jazzed with the sound coming through here. I'm gonna turn sound off. How do I turn sound off? Sound, general, user accounts. How do I turn sound off? Maybe I'll just mute sound here. Okay. Here is the G-test that we've been writing, and guess what? It builds now. It wasn't building before. I think it had been failing to build, and I got it to build eventually. And what the difference was, I don't think I had done too many different things, but what the difference was that, oh, Crushed Optimist says, thanks for bug 1814542. What is that one? Let me just make sure I'm not getting tricked into viewing a security bug. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Danny Colin for that one. That's Danny Colin, who's in the chat. Thank you, Danny Colin. I just reviewed the patch. Danny Colin did all the hard work. But you're welcome. I think all I did to make this compile was I made sure that Ocris was right. I needed to dereference test backend. And then I think I don't remember what else I did. But if you look, before we were passing something to the set app ID call in the expects. Boy, this is taking some time. In the expect call, we were passing like the LPCW STR, and maybe that's what I'll do. If I go like past ID. Let's see what that does. Will that build? Because this is the sort of stuff we were doing last time. Looks like that remote system is lagging a lot. Yeah, I was hoping to be in the office today, and then it would hopefully not lag as much, but then some stuff came up, and I couldn't go to the office. So I'm afraid we're going to have to deal with the lag today. Hopefully, though, it's not too bad. We'll just deal with it. And I don't think it's my home network. I think it's just, I'm routing through a VPN and all these things. Warning, calling function wait requires holding monitor mon exclusively. I need an exclusive hold. Maybe I need to, there's a primitive for that, I think, to hold a monitor. We'll have to look into that. Let's see if we can look at an example. Monitor.h. Monitor. Non-reentrant monitor, not a Java style monitor. If your code needs, what's the difference? Okay, what's the difference? I don't know the answer to this question between a monitor and a lock. I have a feeling a monitor wraps a lock. I guess in C++, that's the same thing. They provide a mechanism that synchronizes access to objects. Lock is the shortcut for monitor enter with try and finally. Lock is a shortcut and it's the option for the basic usage. So monitor is like maybe lock is probably very, like a lot more low level and monitor is higher level. But let me see if I can find, Stack Overflow. From the official documentation, synchronization is built around an internal entity known as the intrinsic lock or the monitor lock. Every object has an intrinsic lock associated with it. By convention, a thread has to acquire the object's monitor lock before accessing them and then release the monitor lock when it's done with them. A thread is said to own the lock between the time it has acquired the lock and released the lock. As long as the thread owns a monitor lock, no other thread can acquire the same lock. The other thread will block when it attempts to acquire the lock. That to me is just a lock. I guess it's a type of lock, so maybe that's what it means. Maybe monitor is just a type of lock. It's like a special case of a lock. Let me see if I can find a better answer. difference between lock and monitor in Java concurrency? I'm just assuming that it's it's synonymous across, or like it's similar across languages. Lock, oh, what are you doing? No, I don't want to log in. Lock originally has been used in the logical section of threads we use to provide synchronization and access control between threads. Right, thread checking the availability of access control of shared objects through flags attached to the objects. The resource is free or busy. Monitor in Java concurrency is a synchronization mechanism that provides the fundamental requirements of multithreading, namely mutual exclusion between various threads and cooperation among threads working at common tasks. They monitor the access control of shared resources and objects among threads. Using this construct, only one thread at a time gets access control over the critical section. Right. Whereas a lock / mutex, the explicit method has a finer control mechanism as compared to the implicit implementation of locks using monitors. So a lock is like finer grained control. So a thread locks mutex does not work with shared resource, or does work with shared resource. Takes a lock. A lock is a verb. You take a lock with a mutex. Thread A unlocks mutex. Thread B gets access to the mutex. Thread B attempts to lock mutex and blocks. Thread B wakes up, locks the mutex, and does work with the shared resource. Attempts to lock mutex and block. Whereas, is there a diagram for the monitor case? Not really. Oh, here we go. There's a table. A lock, mutex, have been used since the coining of multithreading concepts. Came into existence with later developments of the fields. A monitor is newer. Implemented via construct mechanism. A similar nice sentence. Critical section is part of the thread itself. Similar mechanism of lock unlock for synchronization along with operational functions. Cooperation, mutual exclusion mechanism. All the threads are independent and handle their synchronization and access control themselves. Mechanism is quite robust, reliable as everything's managed at the resource side only. This method is highly prone to errors when locking time. The constructed mechanism use thread synchronization operation time slice are comparable. While thread puts a lock, its time slice goes over. I think someone needs to do some copy editing here. Monitors are well designed to work with small thread pools, perform very efficiently unless inter-thread communication becomes a necessity. Okay. Well, so it seems like it's a fine difference, but under the hood, we're using a mutex here. We're using a lock, so it's just like sugar over a lock, at least in our case. Some utilities over a lock, and so there's a monitor single writer. Okay, this is interesting. Unexpected mock function call returning default value. Function call return 0. Google mock tried the following one expectation, but it didn't match. So it did get called. Expected arg0 is equal to that pointing to that. It's actually that pointed to that. So I wonder. Yeah, it of course it got a different. The string is getting copied. The string is getting copied. So the pointer will not be the same. Right? Let's just double check here. So jumpless builder gets past the pointer in the constructor. Right here. So we have a constant string reference. And then yeah, we assign it to this member, but then we also call set app ID and pass the reference in. Do set app ID. And we get the underlying Should be that pointer, shouldn't it? At some point, the string must have gotten copied. I don't know when that would have occurred, but if you look at the test, it's like, yeah, they point to the same string, but the string definitely got copied because we have different pointers. Well, I guess they could be pointing to the same region of memory, but they're different pointers. So I think one thing I wanted to do is, what I care about is the value, the string value. And I think expect call is something I need to learn how to use better, more correctly. Expect call. Expect call. Gtest expect call. Gmock cookbook. Let's read up on expect call. Where is the start? You must always put a mock method definition in a public section of mock class regardless of... this allows on-call and expect call to reference the mock function from outside the mock class. Yes, C++ allows a subclass to change the access level of a virtual function in the base class. That way, class foo, mock foo, implements foo, we do mock method, transform, resume, get timeout, and then you can mock overloaded functions as usual. That's fine. Mocking class templates, don't need to do that. I want to talk about expectations. Delegating calls to a parent class. Don't care. Okay, using matchers. Matching argument values exactly. You can specify exactly which arguments a mock method is expecting. I expect it to be passed with that. A simple matcher, in this particular case, it's using will once return a. If do this is called with something greater or equal to 5, then it will return the string a. Do that passed with hello, make sure that it is not null. You can build complex matchers using all of array, any of array, and not. So all of greater than 5 and not equal to 10. Not has substring blah. Matchers are function objects, and parameterized matchers can be composed just like any other function, however, because their types can be long. Contains. From testing contains. Property. So you express them with C++ generic lambdas to avoid specifying types. Auto. Has foo. Expect the X has foo blah. Auto. Return property. Foo. Contains F. Gmock matchers are statically typed, meaning that the compiler can catch and receive use a matcher with the wrong type. That's good. Good for you! Sometimes, however, you know that what you're doing with the compiler to give you some slack. So for coercion, safe matcher cast. Selecting between overloaded functions, don't need to do that. I just need to do... I need to make sure that two strings are the same. Matching multiple arguments in range. Multiple arguments as a whole. Matchers as predicates. Notice that a matcher is just a fancy predicate that also knows how to describe itself. Matches. Predicates as matchers. Matching arguments that are not copyable. Standard reference. argument equals bar. When you do expect call, gmock saves away a copy of the argument. When foo is called later, mock compares the argument to foo with the saved copy. That way, you don't need to worry about bar being modified or destroyed. So it copies it. That's where the copying is happening. It's actually in gmock. What if bar cannot be copied? Okay. What I really want to do is there must be some way of plotting the value pointed to by a pointer argument. Often takes pointers as arguments. You can use matches like is null, not null, and other comparison matchers to match a pointer. But what if we want to make sure the value pointed to has a certain property? Well, you can use pointee matcher. For example, expects foo bar to be called with a pointer that points to a value greater than or... That sounds better. Pointee. Is there anything in here about strings? Expects. Will once invoke. No. What I want is gmock string matcher. Yeah. Generic comparison. Floating point matchers. String matchers. Stir equal. Okay. I think that's what I want. So set app ID. And then what was the... Yeah, stir equal... What do you think about that? Is stir equal something that I have to bring in? Stir equal. Okay, didn't like it, and the reason it didn't like it was it's not supported. What? Embedding an include directive with macro arguments is not supported. When did I do that? When gtest. Note, expansion of macro call requested here. Error, unterminated function like macro invocation. Unterminated. Did I format this wrong? Oh. Yes. That's what I need. Right? Will once. Expect call. Greater than dot times. Yeah, that, and then will once is like, you do that, and that belongs to that. Okay, so I think that is better. So, let's see here. It's upset because it doesn't know what stir equals is. And I think I need to tell it using testing. Stir equal. Still mad. But a different kind of mad. No matching function call for call stir equal. Candidate not viable. No known conversion from const char 16t to const standard W string for first argument. So char 16t Unicode or UTF. No? Okay. Stir contains regex. String object. I think it's expecting like the built-in string, not the Mozilla string things. And that's where I'm kind of falling over. I think we might have to do our own string comparison. Cuz like it's expecting, I think, C++ strings. So, let's see here. Matcher, like custom matchers. Or do I need this pointee thing? Pointee. I got a feeling not, but just in case. Now, I see what you're saying, Smurf D, and that would probably be the right call, except that we have to do something a little bit extra here. We can't just use the string comparison helpers like expect string, because we need to notify on the monitor as well. We need to overload it, this mocking function with a with this lambda here, which is gonna unlock the thread. Couldn't do it. No known conversion from char 16t to const standard W string. Gmock char 16t. UTF 16. Stir equal. So not quite. Not quite. So I think we have to use our custom matcher maybe. I don't want a custom matcher class. Complex arguments. Custom matcher class. Most matchers can be simply defined using the matcher macros, which are terse and flexible and produce good error messages. However, these macros create are not suitable. Okay, matcher macros. Write new matchers quickly. Matcher. Okay. Match by arg. So matcher. Let's use this. We'll put this up here. Matcher. Mozilla string matches. Or how about NS string matches? Or EQ. Matcher. And what's the second argument? Is divisible. Description is string. Is a string typed expression that documents what the matcher does. Use to generate the failure. Okay, so I can put something in here to describe what the matcher does. The equivalent of stir eq for NS strings. Okay. And then return arg. So it's divisible by 7. Okay, not quite, because I need 2. Yeah, parameters. I want to define it as parameters. Matcher P, name, param, name, description. Expect that it has absolute value N. Yeah. Matcher has absolute value. Matcher P, param name, value, return, arg. How do I... So it's not exactly an NS string. It's one of these. Matcher LPC stir equal. That's what we're going to call it. The equivalent of stir for stirs. What is the definition of one of these? 32-bit pointer. It's wchar_t. Right, it's a type def wchar_t. Comparison. Think. Compare 2 strings. Return value, return is 0, then compare to form the same string equals 0. So return compare How do I get the length of one of these things? Length of wchar_t. Size, you want to use WSCLN. I guess, so I'm wanting to use WC like I wanted to pass the length because I was always taught like anytime you do a string comparison in C++, you always want to use the end variant to avoid like buffer overflows. But because this is just a test, I don't think it matters. Return value, they're equal. So WC, what is it? WC S CMP, two strings. Arg and value equals 0. What does it think about that? Oh, I probably wanted to pass in this, not this. Hang on. Hang on, gang. Computer slow. Network slow. Okay. No. Okay. Try building now. Warning. Okay, that we might need to look into next, this warning, because I need to know what it means. But now we're linking. That's good. Okay, now it's going to run the test. And it sits there. Okay. No good. So now I need to know what's going wrong. Do we, for example, never get to here? Let's start doing some printf debugging. Constructing jump list builder. I don't think it ever got to that assert. And then I'm going to say waiting. I have a feeling it is reaching here. And then we're going to say notifying. And then return printf comparing. Okay. What do you think? Deadlocks or lags? Full on deadlock. Am I running a VM in a VM? No, this is not a VM. To be clear, this is my Windows 10 machine, which is sitting in an office that I am remoting into, and that desktop definitely has a VM on it, like an Ubuntu VM and a couple of other VMs. I think at one point I had Windows 8.1 on it. I may have gotten rid of that one. But no, I don't have a VM running in a VM. That's a bad idea. Probably. I've never done that. VM in a VM. Okay, waiting. Comparing, notifying. So it's doing the things in the right order, it looks like. But I wonder if we need to be satisfying this warning that we need to hold an exclusive lock. What was the single writer? auto lock. Wait. Allow dropping the log for source on Clang format off. Foo unlock. Do I have to? I need to see one of these being used. Monitor and monitor. That seems to be a pattern. Here, lots of examples. Let's pick one. Let's pick. Is there any components I'm kind of familiar with? I mean, the jump list builder has one. The old one, jump list builder. Dot. Guarded by, right. And then how is that used? So we create the monitor, and then we create an auto enter lock. We hold the lock. Reentrant lock. Do we ever wait? I want to see us waiting, like yielding back, basically, on the thread. Here we go. You get a lock, an auto lock on it, and then you wait. Okay, so I think that's what we need to do. That looks right. Monitor auto lock. Mon. And then we say wait on the monitor. Maybe that's all we needed. I think you also need it in the will once lambda, because we need, oh yeah, dot notify. You need to hold a lock. Yeah, see, yeah, we need to get access to the lock. You're right. Are we going to get dinged for? No, because this is what we're passing it. Okay, we're all right. In JavaScript, it would like complain that I'm shadowing by using the same argument names, variable shadowing. But I don't think we have that. We have an explicit, it doesn't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, using monitor auto lock. And it's reentrant. Do I want reentrant auto lock? Reentrant. Do I want it to be a reentrant monitor? Auto enter. Maybe that's what I want. Reentrant. A reentrant monitor. So that works. I think we've got it working. Tell us more. The monitor in previous jumpless implementation was reentrant. I wonder why and if you will need it. Good question. So let's take a moment here to thank you, Akris, for noticing that I needed to take locks on the outside and the inside of that Lambda. We've got it working. We've got our test passing. Woo! Let's clean this up a little bit. Let's figure out let's get rid of some of this logging, and let's see if we can determine whether or not we need the reentrancy. Can I do this? Is the macro going to be upset? I hope not. I think this will be. Okay, what is reentrant monitor? I mean, I know what it means to re-enter. It means like you're already monitoring something and then you like monitor it again. A Java-like monitor. What's versus a non-reentrant monitor, not a Java style monitor. If your code needs support for reentrancy, rarely should reentrancy be needed. I'm not going to use it unless we need. Yeah, you want to lock it multiple times. Right. So for the folks who don't know what reentrancy means, it's like you can have a function that like does A, B, C, D, and then on D, you call some other function which calls into your original function again, A, B, C, D. Like, it's kind of like recursion. It doesn't have to, it's not like strict recursion like you're always calling yourself, but through indirection, you might end up entering the same function at different points in your call stack. And if you're taking a lock or you're using a monitor, presumably a reentrant monitor allows you to do that sort of thing where it's okay to re-enter the same function. I don't want to use one. I mean, it's saying rarely should reentrancy be needed. I don't want to make this a reentrant lock if I don't need to. So I'm going to leave it as not a reentrant lock. It still says notifying here. Why does it say notifying? Did I leave a string? I did. Okay, we've got our very first test. And it works properly. Construction. I'm going to say tests construction, and that the what was it? Application ID is properly passed to the back end. Okay. And this will just hang at some point. Can we, is there like a wait with timeout on monitor? Wait duration. Wait duration. Is there a way? What's the CV status? Wait duration. So no timeout, timeout. Okay. Return. I assert true monitor wait, and then I'm going to give it a duration of how many seconds? Wait, time duration. Time duration from milliseconds 1000. Let's give it 3 seconds, 5 seconds to do it. It's not equal to CV status timeout. Okay, what do you think of that? Hey, we're making progress. Let's add more tests. This is my first G test. I'm feeling good about this. I'm starting to kind of get the sense of how this works. I'm starting to gain an intuition of the, oh, no, it doesn't like something. Assert true requested here. Did I get my parentheses wrong? I did. See, that's a brutal compilation error, or like, because like the first thing it tells you is that an import failed. Like, that's just a garbage compiler error. Use of undeclared identifier time duration. Time duration is from Mozilla. Mozilla time duration. Use of undeclared identifier, CV status. Do I really say using for these? .h. Oh, maybe it's just because I'm in the namespace of Mozilla. Still not happy. Now what are you complaining about? Invalid operands to binary expansion. Base time duration. Time duration. Oh. My parentheses are wrong. It should be like this. I think that's happened more than once during this entire like business. Are you looking for using Mozilla, using namespace Mozilla? Maybe that's what I was looking for. Is that how you do it? Using namespace Mozilla. Maybe that would just make things easier. I just get everything. Thank you. Maybe I can just do this. Would that? I think that means I get rid of like these. Let's see what happens once this run finishes. It's going to run the test. Passed. Okay, let's get rid of these. I can probably do like using namespace testing too. Then I can probably get rid of these. C++, what a joy. Okay. So congratulations, everyone. We made sure that set app ID gets called with the right stuff. Let's figure out another test. We might end up reusing a lot of this format. And we might, who knows, maybe it'll be a good idea to turn this into some kind of like helper structure so we don't have to repeat ourselves so much. But it also might be worth having like a const un wait timeout equals 5,000. I think that'll work. Get rid of that magic number. And now let's think about our next test. So the next thing that the jump list builder does after we construct it and we set the app ID, so that part's been tested, is the jump list builder will be called with like, what is Windows? What is the Windows jump list.sys use? It'll do the check for removals. So let's test check for removals. And what does check for removals do? Check for removals will return a promise that resolves with, we don't even need to what I care about is that the underlying stuff here, whatever check for removals calls, is called with the right arguments. Oh, this should be check for removals. And what it'll do is it'll make sure that we abort the list. We expect that to be called. Then a begin list is called. And then an abort list. And then the promise gets resolved. So we expect this to be called twice. We expect this to be called once. And we expect it to be called with these arguments. And what we're going to do is we're going to resolve, we're going to have our mock return an object array that has a couple of items in it. We're just going to, some URLs. That's what we're going to do next. This might take us to the end of the episode. This is kind of sophisticated because we're doing a couple things. Before, if you look at our test, the test that we have up until now, we're returning like a number. We're not really doing anything with it. That's just like the equivalent of, what is it? What H result? Okay. What are the H result values? SOK. That's what we should be returning here. SOK. We're going to be returning something a little more sophisticated here. Like, yes, we're going to return SOK as the return method, or as a return value, but also there is an out param here for, begin list, and we're going to be writing something into it. And that is a little more complicated. So let's do that next. Mock method, H result, begin list, and the arguments are uint star refIID, and then what's the last argument? Void star star. Get rid of that. Let's see if that compiles. It'd be great to put in a comment, say what the units are. Good idea. Okay, wait timeout. You know what I'll do is actually embed it MS. Conversion warning. Oh, that should be uint 8. Oh. Changes value from 5,000 to 136. Oh, right. Sorry, that should be an int, not a uint 8. That's too high for a uint 8. Okay. It likes it. So let's do our next test where we're going to construct one of these things. We are going to do this. Can I just, what happens if I don't do any of that like will once stuff? I wonder how happy it'll be. I'm gonna guess not too happy. Tests, calling begin list, and receiving a series of removed jump list your entries. Like, what'll it think of this? I got a feeling it's not gonna like this. I'm hedging. I'm willing to be surprised, but I'm pretty sure it's not gonna like this. Because unless set app ID is just gonna be ignored. Yeah. What else does it not like? So it's complaining a lot, and the first thing it's complaining about is that I've reused the same name. Construction, so begin list. Oh, not begin list. It's check for removals. Test calling check for removals. Yeah. Because remember, what we're testing is the jump list builder calling into the backend. I'm saying this more for myself than for you. I figure the people who are watching this have heard me speak about this a lot, but I have to remind myself of what it is that we are testing. We are testing the jump list builder, not the backend. We can't test the backend. We've got a fake backend that we're plugging in, and we're testing the builder. So we're going to be testing the functions of the builder one by one until we're happy that it's doing useful things. Oh, it did pass. Gmock warning. Uninteresting mock function call. You can safely ignore the above warning unless the call should not happen. Do not suppress it by blindly if you don't mean to enforce the call. Right. So it was called, and it's okay that the uninteresting call occurred. And what does it say about uninteresting? If a mock method has no expect call but is called, we say it's an uninteresting call, and the default action of the method will be taken. Currently on an uninteresting call also cause print a warning. However, sometimes we may want to ignore them, and sometimes we may want to treat them as errors. They make the decision on a per mock object basis. Suppose your test uses mock foo. Do this, you get a warning. However, you rewrite your test, use nice mock, you suppress the warning. Nice mock. Uses a strict mock, a similar except that makes all uninteresting calls failures. Nice mock only work for mock object methods defined using the mock method directly. You should be very cautious about when to use naggy or strict mocks, as they tend to make tests more brittle and hard to maintain. When you refactor your code without changing extremely visible behavior, ideally you shouldn't need to update any tests. If your code interacts with a naggy mock, however, you may need to start getting spam with warnings to result a change. Use nice mocks. Okay. So maybe I should use a nice mock. Nice mock. Nice. Ref pointer. the same thing here. Let's see if that puts the warning away. Uninteresting call was a weird way to name it. I guess so. I guess they're trying to kind of not prescribe if it was an erroneous call. It's just a call that occurred and the test wasn't set up to deal with that call. Oh. Doesn't like this. Maybe what I can do, like, I don't even need a ref pointer here necessarily. I'll just say nice mock. And then I don't need to say new. What does it feel? No, because it wants a pointer. How do we feel about this, gang? It's expecting a ref pointer here. I have a feeling it's not going to like that at all. We might just have to, like, live with this, live with this. New testing. Nice. Oh. Is that how it's done? New. Okay. So I can do this maybe. New. What was it? New. Nice mock. What does it think of that? Good. From Smurf D. Nice mock. Third party, third party, third party. It's all from third party. Seems like we don't. Oh, DevTools. We need from heap snapshot. Nice mock. Okay. DOM media. Okay. That seemed to work. So let's make that the pattern. It's recommending that we do it that way. For now, I'm going to do that. Okay. So So we create our jump list builder like that. And then we are going to call get jump list builder check for removals. We're going to call check for removals. And the way check for removals works is, I got to pass it a JS context. How's that going to work? Okay, I can do that. JS context. Cycle collected JS context. That's probably what I want. Or JS API. JS API. That's probably what I want. Cycle collect. Get context. CX setup. Who worked on this? This is brilliant. This is good writing. And FitzGen, good stuff. But I think this will probably do fine. JS API. Include JS API. And then we want JS context. Oh, wait. No, I'm in the wrong file, gang. I'm in the wrong file. In our test, include JS API. Okay. Do I want to include this as well? We'll see. We'll see if it wants it eventually, but for now, let's not put it in. And then the other argument is a promise. Check for removals. A promise pointer. This is going to be our first time. Good. Global. Yeah, we're going to be creating a promise like this, probably. XPC. Do I need XPC public? Yeah, probably. XP shell. XPC. Get the global object, and then I need to create a promise. Promise create from the global. Ignore errors. So that's a ref pointer to a promise. Where does ignore errors come from? Mozilla ignore that. So that's in scope. And then I'm going to pass, we're going to call builder check for removals. And check for removals. I was just looking at this. Check for removals takes the JS context and then a promise pointer. CX promise. All right. Let's see if that compiles at least. because I need to... It doesn't know... Okay, there are a number of things. Use of undeclared identifier nice mock. Line 90. Nick mock. Yeah, it doesn't know what Nick mock is. Use of undeclared identifier JS API. Yeah, I need to do this step first. Auto JS API. This seems like a good idea. This is a utility test. JS has can run script. Legit. Nickmock. Knickerbocker. That's what it should have been called. Knickerbocker. Let's just see if this compiles and if it will run. No, still not happy because I need to say that we're using it. Using Mozilla DOM Auto JS API. Was it Auto? What was the other one? Promise. Mozilla DOM promise using Mozilla DOM promise. Just crawling through this, but it does feel like we're slowly but sure, like we're gonna get faster at this as we learn. That's generally how things work for myself anyways, is that, you know, I'm in some new territory that I'm not familiar with and things feel pretty slow, and that can kind of be discouraging, but I know that as I learn and get information, I will pick up speed. It is a incomplete type. It was forward declared. Oh, okay. So where is this thing defined then? Script settings. Whoop. Script settings.h. Where's the... Do I have to bring this in? Gtest. I guess so. Okie doke. And does that give me... What does script settings give me? It'll give me JS API, so I don't need to bring that in. Does it give me XPC public? Yes, it does, so I don't have to bring that in. Okay. Try again. Yeah, things will feel slow and that can be frustrating, but I know from experience that as I gain more information, as I do more experiments and learn, I will eventually start building up forward momentum. And, you know, if I'm writing things down, I'm asking questions of the computer and getting answers, I will eventually make forward progress. It doesn't know what JS API is. Did I name it wrong? I did. Giuseppe. My name is Giuseppe, but my friends just call me Giuseppe. Does anyone... Okay, so I'm about a year too late to catch the wave of this meme, but it's been recommended to me on YouTube. It was like in the past month, and I love it. I like Daft Punk, and there's this song from Random Access Memories called, I think it's just called Giorgio. I don't remember what it's called, but there's a Giovanni Giorgio meme that I really enjoy, named in incomplete type. It was forward declared, but we don't. Okay. Gtest promise.h. Okay. Include. This isn't. Is this a Mozilla DOM promise? Okay, Mozilla DOM promise. Anyways, it's a good meme. Giovanni Giorgio meme. There's like this nice build up, and then something funny happens. That's what a good video meme does. It gets you ready for something cool, and then something cool happens. It hits you over the head with someone doing something fun. Usually. I've seen some that are just bizarre. Cannot initialize blah blah blah. Now what are you complaining about? With an R value of type ref pointer. So it doesn't like this. Maybe it wants this. What would call DOM promise star star? A promise star star. Generate XPCOM code. I need to see how it does the binding. Promise.get. Would it do it that way? It might. Mozilla DOM promise with an R value type of Mozilla DOM promise star. So now maybe that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. Give me the reference to the pointer of the promise. Give me a pointer to my pointer. Pointer to my pointer, please. Cannot take the address of an R value of type. What's it mean? Ah. A conditional expression does not yield an L value. How do I get a promise? DOM promise star star. I want to see it in practice. See, like XPCOM will do it. Oh. I think I've seen this before. Like getter add refs. Is that how you do it? You like promise. You promise and you forget the promise. I don't want to forget it. I want to useful for already add ref return values. Because I need to wait for this promise to resolve. XPCOM will do it. Sign method impl. How do I get it? Maybe, and then that gives me a DOM promise. How do I get at? I don't want to forget it though. Promise to forget. We'll wipe it out. I need to get at the pointer to the promise. I need a pointer. Trying to remember how to do that. Dot forget. Promise to forget, and you pass it a thing. That's your out param, usually pointer. But then that causes promise to get wiped out. What does this thing do? In this case, I'm trying to pass this. This is performing an operation on it. I need to do the opposite of what I'm seeing here. I need to be on the passing side of this. Right. So standard move promise.get. Let's try it, Rust compiler. Let's try it. I don't know C++. I know a little bit of C++, but we're starting to get into my, like, this is getting into a weird zone. Now, the thing is, it's going to move. Normally, you would forget. I need to hold on to a reference of the promise because I'm going to want to wait for it to resolve. So basically, I need to, like, yeah, no good. I need to find an example of someone calling a, like, what is another example of someone doing stuff like this? I had something like that in here where it was like, there's like a G test where we'll spin event loop, promises fulfilled or timeout. How does this work? Listener, expect resolve called, get default promise don't forget, get shutdown promise. I need something really simple. Show me something simple. Finished. Is it monitor? No good. What's something promisey? Request resolver. Done. Where's the resolver was a request resolver. That's not quite right. Test by what else? Done. A testable. This is a promisey thing, but this is not a DOM promise. I need like a DOM promise. Okay. Test file system quota. That doesn't look right. Quota manager. No. Thread pool, state mirroring. How about spin? Promise. Test Moz promise, spin the event loop. Test Moz promise our value. Resolve or reject promise. The way it works is test promise, create and reject. Okay, that's again, that's for a Moz promise. I need DOM promise. Huh. What are we gonna do here? We're kind of in like we're in uncharted territory. Let's review. I have a promise right here. It's a ref pointer. This is a pointer. I need to pass a pointer as my second argument here. This gets me the raw underlying pointer. And I don't think I can do that. And the reason that you forget generally is because something else is going to overwrite it with something. Is that what occurs? Like whenever I call check for removals, what does happen? The pointer comes in, and what do we do? Oh, it's empty. It returns a promise. We don't This is the problem, gang. I see it. I see it. This is another one of those like I figured it out. This thing returns a promise. The promise pointer is an out param. We want to get a promise back from check for removals. You don't pass a pointer. You don't pass a promise into it. You get a promise out of it. So the way we do that, this now suddenly feels a lot more doable. We don't want to create a promise. We're going to get one created for us. So we don't actually need to do any of this stuff. We do need to pass in the CX, the context. What we're going to do is we're going to say ref pointer promise getter add refs. This is how you do an out param, I think. I think that'll work. That's how I used to do this in like C++ XPCOM land. This is how you get an out param. In C++. Tell me what you think. Do you love it? Do you love it? Not quite. Error. Unused Kung Fu Death Grip constructed from temporary values are prohibited. So please switch all access through global or explicitly pass global to unused. Oh. Okay. Yeah. It just doesn't like the fact that I created one global and didn't use it. I think if this works, I'm calling the episode. I'm calling the episode if this works. Even if this doesn't work, I'm calling the episode because I've got another meeting to run to after this. But I feel fairly confident because as soon as I realized that I should have realized this. Pointer star star or promise star star. It's an out param. You're getting a promise back as the caller. I should have thought a little more. Should have taken a step back. Yeah, there you go. Pass. I love it. All right, so let's commit what we've got so far. We're gonna amend for this stuff, and then this we can just take it. So it's not a huge amount of changes, but I feel like I've learned a lot today. Yes. And we're on our way here. We're gonna finish writing this test next week, and maybe we'll even get started on another couple of tests. I feel pretty good now. I'm learning and figuring stuff out. And so we're gonna pick up speed soon, and that's exciting because I know this has been a bit of a slog, but that's because I'm learning. And then we're gonna have some nice tests when all of this is done. Good job. I'm now a professional C++ developer. I mean, in theory, I am a professional C++ developer. It's just I know how to write C++ in a particular way. And we are kind of outside of that here. We are in not exactly XPCOM land, and I'm dealing with a framework I'm not familiar with, using Windows primitives that I'm not super familiar with. It's a little bit new. It's new and unusual. Think of it as I'm in Canada, I'm in Toronto, and going to I don't know, let's say Liverpool in England. They speak English there. We speak the same language, but only kinda. And a lot of the assumptions are different, and the plugs for my stuff are different, and lots of things are different. The history is different. What I have access to is different. I can't that is kind of the metaphor here. Is there is an underlying understanding. I'm used to being in Toronto. Whenever I go to another place, even though I'm speaking the same language, I have to learn a whole new set of rules, and that's what's happening here. I'm learning a whole new set of rules. So technically, I'm a professional C++ developer, but for a particular flavor of C++, which is Mozilla-style C++ inside of Gecko. That's the only C++ I've ever written professionally. And that's how I was able to write Jump List Builder fairly easily. This is the part that I feel like we were able to do, and I didn't have to spend, too much effort on it. And we were spending a heck of a lot longer on Test Jump List Builder, I think. Although maybe that's not fair, because jumplistbuilder.cpp was also kind of recycled stuff from the first iteration we'd had on this. Anyway, let's call it there. Thank you so much for watching what was this episode? Episode 334 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a link at the end of the agenda here. I'm also going to drop this in the chat. There's a link in the agenda. I can just say, rate this episode. To rate the episode, you can write in your thoughts. You can rate it out of, I think it's a Likert scale out of 5, but you can also send in questions. If you've got questions for me, send them in. I will happily attempt to answer. If I know the answer, I'll attempt to answer the question on stream. Send them in. I read everything that comes in. So let me know what you thought, and what I can improve on, what I can do better, what I can change, etc., etc. And we're getting, we're in somewhat range of episode 350. Someone had the idea that I could take a look at, the Ladybird browser. source code, which is a new browser engine that's being developed by the folks who work on Serenity OS, which is like a brand new operating system that people are working on kind of as it started, I think, as a hobby, and now like people are, I think, being paid to work on it. It started as a little therapy project, has blossomed into a huge OSS community, and they are also like, if building an entire operating system wasn't enough, they decided to start building like a web browser engine, and it's called LibWeb, I think, and Ladybird is the name of the browser that they're building on top of it, and this is the source code. And so it's been archived. Where's the source code then? Oh, here we go. The one idea for episode 350 is I could take a look at some of the Ladybird source code. We could try and understand what's going on in there. We can try and pick apart some parts of it. But I mean, I want to stress this. It is very unusual to see a web engine start and like a brand new web engine get written. It's like a rare thing. It's like watching a star being born. It's a very rare but very encouraging thing. We should encourage more people to be building web engines. I'm very curious to know how this thing works. WebDriver? I don't know what that is. Ladybird. Browser window. Does this just import libweb? Maybe this imports lib. You know what? I'm getting distracted. I'm getting distracted looking at Ladybird. We can save that for another time. But let me know if that would be interesting. Send me a message on Rate This Episode, and maybe we'll look at Ladybird for episode 350 as a celebration. Okay, I'm going to call it there. Thanks again for watching episode 334 of The Joy of Coding. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll hopefully see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.